This is the 2025 Annual Meeting President's Report. The report is read by Michael Johnson, a Calista intern with ties to Scammon Bay.
On June 6th in Nunam, Iqua, Calista Corporation President CEO Andrew Guy presented the following President's message at the 51st Annual Meeting of Shareholders. Calista's board has a critical function for the Calista team, and that is to provide our direction and making sure our objectives are accomplished. It does that by adopting our vision, our mission, and annually reviewing our performance. Our vision describes how Calista people should act, and that is to be a world-class corporation exemplifying cultural values, servant leadership, and economic prosperity. Just as important as how to act is what Calista should aim to achieve. Our mission is improve the economic well-being of our shareholders and communities through growth, leadership, collaboration, and financial discipline. To help what the Calista should aim to achieve, the Calista board, with the assistance of management, adopts 5-year strategic goals and annual objectives. Our board chair already addressed aspects of the first strategic goal. As you can see, the other goals are 2. Sustainably develop and protect Calista's natural resources. 3. Promote in-region economic development and partnerships. And 4. Maximize and grow profits through diverse, resilient business lines. Today, we will provide highlights for each of these goals. We will first speak about the goal to sustainably develop and protect Calista's natural resources. This includes both our renewable and non-renewable resources. Under ANSA, village and regional corporations have dual obligation when it comes to our lands and resources. On one hand is a directive to develop resources for the benefit of our respective shareholders. On the other hand, we are stewards of and are committed to protecting our lands and natural resources. The Donlin Gold Prospect shows how we have balanced development and stewardship of our resources. The land around Donlin was selected in the early 1970s for its gold potential. But because we are stewards of our lands, we first look to protect those resources which have enabled our people to thrive for centuries. That's why we took a cautious approach and waited about 20 years before signing an agreement to begin development. And since ANSA was enacted over 50 years ago, mining operations and technology of today are significantly more advanced and safer. It is not surprising that technologies and methods have undergone major advancements towards safer and responsible activities. For example, boats from 50 years ago were very heavy, requiring a lot of fuel to move them, and they used 2-stroke motors. Today's boats are much lighter, and they use modern 4-stroke motors. How much better is a 4-stroke motor? 2-stroke motors create 9 to 12 more pollutants than 4-stroke motors. In fact, if a 2-stroke motor is used in drinkable water, it makes that water unsafe for more than 2 weeks. Mining technology has also experienced many improvements. Donlin Gold will use the most proven and effective methods for safe and sustainable mining. Donlin Gold will also use the downstream design for the tailings dam. While this picture seems to indicate that the tailings dam will have about the same height and width at the base, the plan for Donlin will have the base 4 times as wide as the height, the strongest and most stable dam. Our people know our lands and waters like no one else, and we all know and respect the animals, fish, and plants that sustain us. We will protect the environment with that knowledge and respect. Pictured here is Dan Twitchell of Bethel. He has worked primarily in the environmental studies area and was promoted to the role of environmental field coordinator. He shared that at Donlin and the people that work there, safety and stewardship are at the forefront of everything we do. On the right is David Francis of Pilot Station. He shared that he is a fisherman too, that he watches the water and lives off the water. Here we have Gerald Beans of Mountain Village. He works as an environmental technician. Gerald shared that it feels good to be part of something bigger, and that he thinks there's great opportunity for the region. On the right is Teresa Pagano of Hooper Bay. She appreciates that our people and Calista have oversight because these resources belong to us. All our people associated with the project will work to protect and honor all that sustains us. ANCSA allows regional corporations like Calista to select culturally significant areas called 14H1 lands. Early Calista and YK leaders in the 1970s spoke with elders across the YK region to document these important areas. An estimated 1,300 recordings were made by speaking with elders. Calista treats these lands as sacred, to be protected from development. In some cases, Calista has reconveyed the lands back to the local village corporation. Pictured here are Yupik ceremonial dance masks documented in 1985 at a 14H1 site that was a historic village. This location was used as a winter village after a nearby village was decimated by the 1899-1900 influenza epidemic. The remains of 32 semi-subterranean dwellings, a kazakik, and 29 graves were recorded at the site. Responding to a Calista request, BIA archaeologists revisited this 14H1 site in 2011 to try to relocate the masks and obtain higher resolution images of them. But they were not found. The masks had most likely been completely overgrown or absorbed by the tundra. Another goal is to promote in-region economic development and partnership to meet ANCSA's mandate to improve the socio-economic conditions for our shareholders and communities. The single biggest issue holding all of us back, and especially our businesses throughout the YK region, is energy. Calista leadership began working on energy back in the 1980s. More recently, in March 2023, Andrew Guy was appointed to the Alaska Energy Security Task Force. A key condition of his to participate was that the task force not just be a place to talk about needs and more studies. A plan has to be put in place to solve energy issues all over the state, and especially our region. We achieved that when the energy plans were presented on December 2023. This past March, Calista and the Aniak Traditional Council brought our energy needs and solutions before the Alaska legislature. A solid long-term project resulting in reduced costs and dependable energy is needed to make a real difference in our homes and businesses. Calista is also working with our partner Alaska Communications on a fiber optic project. In 2022, we received funding to bring fiber optic broadband to communities on the Kuskokwim. Our broadband project is expected to launch by the end of next year. The same speeds and price in Anchorage will be made available in 7 villages throughout our project. The villages are Napakiak, Huithluk, Akiachuk, Akiak, Paluksek, Lower Kalskag, and Upper Kalskag. Other YK villages will be served by other companies. The final goal is to maximize and grow profits through diverse, resilient business lines. This goal is key because profits drive our efforts to accomplish the other strategic goals. Our companies are structured under 4 key holding lines. Calista Bryce is our construction line. Na Holding invests in commercial real estate. Ulista's main focus is government and defense contracting. And Buktuk works on oil and gas field services. I will focus on one holding line, Calista Bryce. Calista Bryce has a large number of companies, and each of them work in specialized areas of construction. I'll highlight a few projects. First, we look at Tunista Construction. It operates in the state of Washington. Near the state capital, Olympia, Tunista installed a fish passage at Schoolyard River to restore migratory spawning routes, managing wetland concerns. South of Seattle, Tunista installed 19,000 feet of fiber optic conduit across American Lake VA Medical Campus, navigating historic and active facilities. And at Joint Base Lewis McChord near Tacoma, Tunista restored Flora Pond's 1.5 million gallon stormwater system, managing contaminated soils and complex filtration upgrades. These projects show that our own companies have experience with environmental stewardship and often work in close collaboration with governmental organizations like the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, State Department of Ecology, and local health departments. The next highlight is STG Inc., which works in Alaska. Working closely with Bryce Inc. and Bryce Marine, STG provided significant support for Eumonic's deep water port. STG's work included driving sheet piling, installing barge fenders, and more. STG also helped GCI connect rural Alaska to stable, high-speed internet. STG built 4 cable landing sites in 2024, with plans to complete the remaining sites this year. These cable landing sites connect fiber optic cable to the high-speed lines in the ocean, supporting YK communities. And finally, STG works on renewable energy projects. Working for AVEC, STG installed one of the largest wind energy towers on the west coast of Alaska in the remote village of Stebbins. These projects show that our companies have experience working in very remote places. Another way we have focused on maximizing and growing profits is by expanding to other geographical areas. For many years, Calista's construction subsidiaries focused on Alaska projects. However, that often limited our potential because many projects are seasonal in Alaska. By expanding operations to other states, territories, and beyond, our companies are able to operate throughout the year. Our companies now have contracts and operate in over 30 states and other areas. Let's take a look at some positive developments resulting from Calista's growth and expansion. Our growth is most easily measured by the revenues we generate from our operations. In 2010, Calista's revenues were $234 million. In 2015, revenues grew to $460 million. In 2020, revenues reached $732 million. And last year, in 2024, Calista reached an incredible milestone. Thanks to our team at both Calista and its holding lines, Calista had revenues of $1.1 billion. And through the plans approved by the board, there was growth in distributions to shareholders. Here we see the growth of distributions to shareholders. The total distributions grew in every single year from 2008. In 2010, $3.9 million were distributed. In 2015, $7 million. In 2020, $11 million. And last year, in 2024, there was a record $16.3 million distributed. Calista's distributions are approved by the Board and Settlement Trust trustees. Calista's had distributions every year since 2008. From 2008 to 2013, there were 2 types of distributions. The spring distribution, sent to all shareholders, and the elders distribution, available only to original shareholders aged 65 and over. Beginning in 2014, a 3rd distribution was declared by the board. This is the Calista distribution, which is available to all shareholders. And for 2025, we've had 1 distribution, the spring distribution. In total, over $160 million have been distributed to shareholders. Over half of all Calista dividend dollars have been distributed since 2020. That's $85 million. From the first distribution until the end of 2019, the total was $75 million. The good governance by our board, the dedication of our staff, and the performance of our companies provide for this success. On behalf of the board, management, and staff, Koyana for listening.